Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're trying something a little different.
Oh,
Yeah, we're going to be exploring technology and ethics, but through the lens of a fictional story.
okay. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's this book called Emma and the Virtual Turning Point.
Okay.
And it follows these three students, Emma, Leo, and Mia, as they use AR and VR to tackle real-world problems.
Okay.
So they end up creating things like a virtual museum tour and a program that shows what cyberbullying looks like,
Wow.
and even an app to try to help detect fake news.
That's really relevant these days.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it'll be interesting to see what we can kind of pull out of this fictional world.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how these fictional stories can help us understand these really complex things
Yeah,
in a way that just looking at data sometimes can't really do.
fully.
And by seeing these challenges through the characters, we can actually connect with the human side of all this tech stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And the story starts with you three discovering AR and VR in your computer science class.
Uh-huh.
And you take this virtual tour of the Louvre, and that seems to be this pivotal moment for you guys.
Yeah, the book really emphasizes that experience. It's not
Right.
just the technology itself, it's that feeling of awe and possibility that it
Yeah.
unlocks. And that's what motivates them to explore how AR and VR can do more.
Right, it's not just for entertainment.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've been handed the keys to this whole new world, but then it takes a bit of a darker turn
Oh.
when you encounter cyberbullying in an online VR forum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Emma's emotional response to this is what kind of sparks this passion to do something about it.
It's like they have to fight back,
Yeah, and that leads to your first project, Digital Echo.
right?
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Digital Echo uses augmented reality to show a visualization of
Okay.
what's happening online. So
How does that work?
when someone writes a negative comment, dark clouds will appear above their avatar.
Oh, wow.
But then positive comments will create this warm light.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're taking something that feels very intangible and making it tangible,
Right.
and really driving home this point that words have power even in the digital space.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see how that impacted the other classmates.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, it seemed like it was a real game changer
Okay.
because they could actually see the effects of cyberbullying,
Right.
So it created this greater sense of empathy and responsibility online.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's such a good example of how you can use technology to try to promote positive change.
Right.
But then the story takes a more personal turn when one of your classmates, Tom, is cyberbullied.
Yeah, and this is where you can really feel the emotional impact because you
Yeah.
see how devastating it is for Tom.
And this really pushes you three to create a VR experience called Echoes of the Digital World.
Yes.
What was the goal with that?
The idea was to go beyond just understanding cyberbullying and to actually help people feel what it's like
Right.
by putting them in the shoes of someone who is being cyberbullied.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was using virtual reality to raise awareness and empathy.
I love that. And it makes you think about all the problems that could be addressed if we could experience them in this way.
Right.
But the challenges of the digital world don't stop there.
Yep.
You also end up tackling the issue of fake news.
Mm.
What led you to focus on that?
It's as you spend more time online, you become aware of how dangerous misinformation is,
Right.
and you realize how much it can impact the real world.
Yeah, it's like a virus spreading everywhere.
Right.
So to combat this, you create filters of truth.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It's an AR app that helps people figure out if information is credible or not.
Okay.
So it shows them how to identify reliable sources, spot biased language, and how to fact check before they share something.
It's like you're helping people become better consumers of information.
Right.
So it's not just about identifying fake news, it's about thinking critically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what Filters of Truth is all about.
That's so important, especially these days.
Yeah.
But then as you're preparing to share your work with a group of parents,
Okay.
you run into an ethical dilemma.
Oh.
Yeah. You have to balance combating this harmful content with freedom of expression.
Oh, right.
You want to protect people, but you also don't want to censor anyone.
It's a tough question. Where do you draw the line?
Exactly.
And who gets to decide that?
These are such important questions.
Yeah.
So what approach did you take in the book?
You decide to talk to experts in digital rights.
Okay.
to try to get a better understanding of the situation. And then you create this VR experience that presents users with different ethical dilemmas.
Interesting.
So it encourages them to think critically about online content and digital citizenship.
It's like you're using technology to create a space for these important conversations.
Yeah, the digital world is an extension of our society with all of its complexities.
And before we move on,
Yeah.
I wanted to take a pause and ask you, the listener, what stands out to you so far about this story?
I think it's interesting how much it reflects what's happening in the real world.
Yeah.
We're all dealing with these same issues.
Right. We're all part of this digital ecosystem.
Exactly.
So as we learn more about Emma, Leo, and Mia's journey, I want you to keep in mind, how can we use technology responsibly? And how can we create a better online community?
Such good question.
And how can we equip ourselves and future generations with the skills to navigate all of this?
Right.
So let's keep those in mind as we move forward.
Okay. So we've seen Emma, Leo, and Mia deal with cyberbullying, fake news, all this tough stuff.
Right.
But they don't just create apps and programs. They actually build this whole community called digital harmony.
Yeah. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, they realize that people need to feel connected, especially online where it's easy to feel isolated.
Right.
And the book talks about how digital harmony just explodes in popularity.
Wow. So it really resonated with people.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if we're all kind of craving that sense of belonging online.
That's a really good point.
It's this counterbalance to all the negativity we see.
Totally. It's like you're creating a virtual town square where people can support each other.
Exactly.
But then you go even further with this idea of cyberwise.
Right.
Tell me about that.
You realize that the problem isn't technology itself.
Okay.
It's how we use it.
Right.
So cyberwise is all about teaching young people how to be good digital citizens.
Can you break that down a little bit? What does it mean to be a good digital citizen?
It's about using technology responsibly.
Okay.
Respecting others online, understanding your digital footprint, things like that.
So it's like a set of guidelines for navigating the online world.
Exactly.
And how does cyberwise teach those principles?
Well, it uses AR and VR to create these really immersive learning experiences.
Oh, it's not just reading about it in a textbook.
Right. It's like you get to step into these virtual scenarios.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and you get to experience the consequences of your choices.
Can you give us an example of what one of those lessons might look like?
Okay, so imagine a student sees a news story that seems kind of fishy. Cyberwise would then encourage them to think about the source.
Right. Where did this come from?
Exactly. And is it reliable? Are there any signs of bias?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then they can actually use tools in the program to fact check it.
Wow. So it's like a game almost.
Yeah, and way more engaging than a lecture.
Totally. But cyberwise goes beyond just fake news.
Oh, yeah, it covers all sorts of topics.
That's what?
So cyberbullying, online privacy, digital footprints, you name it.
It sounds like a really comprehensive program.
And it's been super well received.
That's great. What kind of feedback have you gotten?
Teachers love it because it's such a creative way to teach these important concepts, and students find it really engaging and fun.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it shows that education can be both effective and enjoyable.
And you don't stop there. You take this even further and organize an international conference.
Right, we realize these aren't just local problems.
They're global.
Exactly, so we bring together all these people from all over the world.
Wow, who came to this conference?
Educators, policymakers, tech experts, even students.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what were you hoping to achieve with this conference?
We wanted to share ideas and start collaborating on how to build a better digital future.
It sounds like a really powerful event.
It was incredible to connect with so many passionate people.
What were some of the key takeaways?
Well, there was a lot of talk about how to incorporate digital citizenship into schools. And we also discussed the ethics of new technologies like AI.
Right, because that's a big one these days.
Yeah. And then, of course, how to promote digital equity and access for everyone.
So it was more than just talk. It sparked real action.
Exactly. And for Emma, Leo, and Mia, it was this huge turning point.
In what way?
They went from being students worried about their own school to thought leaders shaping the global conversation about the digital world.
That's inspiring.
It shows that anyone can make a difference.
But even with all of this success, you still take the time to reflect.
Yeah, in the book, we see them at their favorite cafe looking back on everything.
And how are they feeling?
They're proud of what they've accomplished,
Okay.
but they also know there's still work to be done.
Right. Building a better digital world is an ongoing process.
Exactly, and it's something we all need to be a part of.
I love that. And I think this part of this story really highlights the power of education and community.
Me too.
It's a reminder that we have a responsibility to shape the digital world we want to live in.
We can't just sit back and let things happen.
So as we head into the final chapter,
Okay.
I want you to keep those ideas in mind.
This sounds good.
How can we create a more positive and equitable online experience?
That's the question.
It is. And I'm excited to see how Emma, Leo, and Mia continue to tackle that challenge.
So we left off with you three kind of reflecting on everything you've done.
Yeah, you've accomplished so much already with digital harmony and cyberwise.
But you're not done yet.
Not even close.
This last chapter takes things even further.
Okay.
It's like you're moving beyond just fixing problems and starting to think about how to create real change.
I'm interested to hear about this. What kind of initiatives are you talking about?
Well, each of you focuses on something different.
Okay.
Emma, who's really good with people.
Right.
She starts this mentorship program within Digital Harmony.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, she realizes that new users need guidance.
Totally. It's like having a guide in this new world.
Exactly. And the book talks about how this program creates a ripple effect.
Wow. So it goes beyond just those being mentored.
Right. It helps to build a more supportive community as a whole.
That's amazing.
And then you've got Leo, the tech guy.
Uh-huh.
He wants to use AI to personalize Digital Harmony.
Now that's interesting because people usually talk about AI in terms of efficiency.
Right.
But you're using it to strengthen the community.
Exactly. Leo wants to create an AI that learns about each user.
Oh, wow.
So it can connect them with people who have similar interests and goals.
So it's more personalized.
Right. Becomes less like a generic social network and
Well,
more like a support system tailored to you.
I love that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that create echo chambers where people only see what they already agree with?
That's a valid concern, and the book addresses that.
Okay,
But Leo knows the potential dangers of AI,
Mm-hmm.
so he designs it to promote diverse viewpoints.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, it's about using AI to enhance human connection, not replace it.
I like that a lot. And what about Mia? What does she focus on?
Mia, being the artist,
Right.
she decides to combine art and technology.
Oh, cool. How does she do that?
She launches this project where she commissions artwork
Okay.
that explores the digital world.
So things like online culture,
Yeah.
digital ethics, that kind of stuff. It's like using art to help us see the digital world in a new light.
And she really believes in the power of art to make people think differently.
Yeah, art can definitely be very impactful.
It can spark conversations and challenge how we see things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what does all of this lead to? What's the overall impact?
The book talks about this huge wave of positive change.
Wow.
Digital Harmony and cyberwise become global.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and they inspire tons of similar initiatives.
It's amazing to see that ripple effect.
Schools start teaching digital citizenship, and policymakers are actually taking action.
That's what we like to hear.
It shows that even a small group of people can change the world.
And at the end of the book, how are Emma, Leo, and Mia feeling about everything?
We see them back at that cafe,
Okay.
and they're looking back on everything they've done.
Mm.
And they're obviously proud, but they also know the work isn't over.
Right. It's a constant process.
Yeah. Building a better digital world is something we have to keep working at.
It's a really powerful message, especially today. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Emma and the virtual turning point, what are some of the key takeaways?
Well, I think it reminds us that we all have a role to play in shaping the digital world.
We're not just passive bystanders.
Exactly. Our choices matter, and we need to be more aware of the impact we have.
So think about your digital literacy. Think about the ethical implications of technology.
And remember the power of community.
Absolutely, because we can achieve so much more when we work together.
So as we sign off here,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
What kind of digital world do you want to live in?
It's a question we should all be asking ourselves.
And how can we each contribute to creating a more positive and equitable online experience?
Those are fantastic questions to think about, and we hope this deep dive has given you some new perspectives.
Thank you for joining us.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.